specialty.
Winging another conversation this week in real estate. It is the team at North Star Pro Realty. We've got Tyler Reiss, Tom Olson, and Tyler Loebertmann with us today. Today's topic, Tyler, you came up with a good one again.
Yeah. Is the market finally getting a little easier for buyers as opposed to last handful of years? So.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think we should back up just a little bit of let's requalify what a buyer is right now.
Sure.
I would say somebody that is, one, ready, willing, and able to purchase a home.
Agreed.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Definitely.
Thank you for tuning in this week. You can tell we're about to talk smart because I have my glasses on. But the reason I say that is a lot of people are thinking about it, but they've never taken that first step in actually getting pre-qualified, everything, or maybe they let their, pre-approval letter lapse. Sure. And they're just not freshened up. So we want to know the people that are actually in the market right now. They've actually spoken with a lender, all of that. Maybe they were a year ago, and like, oh man, when interest rates were approaching 8%. Now, what are they today? You pulled some right before we came in here.
I actually didn't pull them up, but yeah, little over 6%.
A little over 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We see a lot of advertising right now is you see some in the 5s, which includes some things like a rate buy down.
Yep.
You guys familiar with that?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
What's a rate buy down?
Basically, we're paying up front for a discounted rate. Sometimes that's a good idea. Sometimes it's not such a good idea. And a lot of it has to do with your timeline, really, of how long you're planning on hanging out.
Yeah. And all of that stuff can be structured inside of an offer. But under today's conversation, it's really, is it getting easier? Overwhelmingly, yes. I think right now, if we're to take a look mid-March, I think it is easier to buy a house now than it was a year ago or 6 months ago, and probably going to be easier than when the snow melts. Do you guys agree with that?
Easier right now than when it's melted?
Correct. When there's more buyers out there to compete with.
Yeah, I mean, you get into a kind of supply and demand, right? So it's a matter of not everybody's out looking at Trump in the snow like we did today, right? Yeah. To go check out homes. But if the timing's right and you're, again, willing and able right now, now is a great time. You're kind of getting ahead of it, and you get a little bit of an unfair advantage in that regard.
Yeah, I'm going to actually challenge that just a little bit. I'm not saying that, you're wrong by any means, but
we want to go ahead and cut his microphone there.
No, so the only thing that I want to bring up is right now I do think there's not as many buyers as there will be. That's just a fact. But there are, at least from what I've seen, there's more buyers than there are sellers. I think it's a great time to be a seller right now because there's a lot of sellers on the sidelines right now that are waiting for the grass to green up, waiting for this giant snow that we just got to leave, and then they'll go active. Mm-hmm. But buyers have been ready since February. I mean, the Super Bowl goes by, they start to get a little taste of, some really nice weather, and they just start chomping at the bit. Even in the last 2 weeks, I've had 3 offers that went into multiple offers. One of them was 7 offers, and this was a $400,000 house. And nice. That to me, that's kind of crazy because we've, generally speaking, over the last couple years, we've seen those step-up homes, those $450,000 to $600,000 homes are sitting on the market because there's a huge amount of people who are getting out of these bigger step-up homes. Their kids are going to college. They're downsizing. A lot of those people who purchased in the 90s and early 2000s. And when you finance one of those $500,000 homes, and most of the people who are buying those are financing them, that's a big monthly payment. Even at a lower interest rate than we've had, an 8% as opposed to what we're at now at like low 6s, that's still a huge payment. So all of that to say, I think there are quite a few buyers right now out and about, and there's less inventory than there will be. But as this conversation goes, yes, I do still think it's a lot easier to be a buyer right now than it was last year, or obviously you go back a few years, it's way better.
Yeah. For other reasons, interest rates a few years ago were more favorable, but you also lost out on multiple offers and had to, pay tens of thousands or hundreds of $1,000s more than, what the asking price was. Let me back up to on those situations with multiple offers. Was that an entry-level home for that area? Describe that just a little bit.
It was kind of right in the middle of an entry level to a step up home.
So probably the high end of an entry level, low end step up.
Yeah, it was a newer, smaller 2-story, and I think that one was in Crystal. So again, that's a little bit different market as well. As you get towards the cities, things change. But yeah, it was interesting. I didn't see that. I didn't see it coming. We went and saw the home, and I was like, hey, I think if we get in here pretty quick, I think we have a good shot. And all of a sudden, she's like, yeah, we have seven offers.
Was the house underpriced, maybe accidentally?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I mean, I was like, I think
maybe
it was
purposely?
just
Yeah, right. Yeah, or purposely. Good call.
I think for the area, it was just the nicest home.
Sure.
And I think that's a big thing that buyers nowadays are valuing are newer homes that have newer windows and newer appliances, and they can just move in and it's beautiful and there's nothing they have to do to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at a networking event earlier today, and 4 different brokerages. What are you seeing in the market? Here, rip the Band-Aid off and say, yeah, if it is priced well and it's clean and ready to go, we're seeing great activity. Buyers are going to buy it. If you miss on any of those on price or condition, it's sitting. That's the feedback. Buyers are ready to buy something that is ready to be purchased. Sounds dumb, but when you say it out loud.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was overwhelmingly the feedback.
Well, and I'll bring up another situation is right now I've got one of the least expensive townhomes in Plymouth, which is a very desired area in one of the more desired neighborhoods. And it's been on the market for like 2 months, and it's got a new roof, new furnace, new AC, new washer, new water heater, new water softener, but it needs cosmetic updates. And every person walks in and sees that it needs new carpet. Nobody's willing to do it.
I want to buy that place. Like if that was a first home for me when it was the right time.
And I told the sellers last night, I said, if I were looking for a first-time home, this is it.
Yeah. New carpet, new paint, and it's good to go. I love that place. And it's been sitting, but it's in an awesome spot and needs just a little bit to Tyler's point of if it's clean and priced well. It is priced very well. And it's clean, but not too clean. I mean, right. It doesn't take much to really dial it in. So.
No. Well, and that's kind of goes back to what we were talking about is buyers are pickier now than they were. And they're pickier now because they can be.
It's easier to be picky.
Because there's options.
Yes.
And
So I think in regards to easier for buyers, it's easier to be picky. It's easier to be able to get an inspection. It's easier to not go above, auction style a little bit more than what you're planning on spending. And the interest rates, there's an elephant in the room of the interest rates are not 3%. Shocker. I don't think they're going to be, so if you're waiting for that, it's not probably the smartest move, but time will tell. But beyond that, I mean, to your point of the availability being down a little bit, at the very least, I think it's a good time to get ready to be a buyer of the willing and able, so that when the grass does come and that we are set, you're absolutely ready. And the only last thing is the offer and to own a new house. So I think that's maybe an element of it too, of, maybe 30 days from now, you're able to do an offer. And in the current 30 days, you're planning to be able to do an offer.
Yeah, I love this topic just because it knocks some things loose in my head of, and being ready looks different for every single buyer. So like when we talk about, interest rates and everything like that, or living situations, when you kind of look at the grasp of the whole thing of like, there's some places that I know that I would not ever want to live, or my wife would never want to live, that is way better than someone's current living situation. Like, oh, yeah, we have to remember that. Mm-hmm. It is, it's not, through our eyes, it's through, the buyer's eyes, and we help guide them through there, ask the right questions, maybe a year ago they were homeless, they're down on their luck, homeless, everything. And now just having a roof over their head, even if it's, not the greatest in everybody else's eyes, it's a mansion and just, the great blessing for them too. So, so when we say this, it looks different for every single person. So, what we're seeing of just like, oh, the $400,000 home, somebody's like, oh my goodness, that's ridiculous. But again, it looks different for absolutely everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a statistic. It was that of the new listings that came on the market in the last 14 days in the 7-county metro, it was 2/3 of them were brand new construction. The other ones were previously owned. And I think that stat is a bit skewed because there are new construction companies, builders, that are actually, they're advertising things that haven't even been built yet to be built, which I think is dumb. I think you're unnecessarily flooding the market, but it is creating a lot of noise and a lot of eyes in the market for buyers, where sometimes that could be an advantage to a buyer looking for that new construction deal. I think all of us have been through these new construction ones here in Buffalo, in Monticello area, is just like, man, there's some really good deals, new construction out there, because they have so much inventory that they're not wanting to take, it's just a number to them. They're not emotional about it. Kind of. I guess, their accountants are probably a little bit emotional about it, but there's so much new construction out there. Is like there is a little bit more room of, hey, let's get this one on to the next one. The builders want to know that there's somebody lined up for it versus maybe an emotional seller. So there's some strategy there. And if you're a seller right now, or if you're looking for an existing home, we're in the winter. Buyers have, I think, just a little bit more of an advantage now, especially if somebody's been sitting for just a bit.
Mm-hmm. And with new construction, that's something a few years ago I never really recommended, and it was just because the premium on them was just so much more than a previously owned home. I was like, why would you? I mean, it's like a car, right? Now with some of the deals that they have, I mean, I just showed some clients last week some new construction, and we actually had a rep meet us out there, and she was talking through all the stuff. I was like,
oh, a rep. I thought you said a rat. I thought, whoa, jeez.
No, but she started talking about it. I was like, you guys, this seems like a good deal. I mean, there were some previously owned homes that were more expensive, that were comps. And it's just interesting to see how those things kind of change with just a couple of years,
Yeah, and I think a lot of it had to do with they were having to pay premiums for the products that they were getting, paying premiums for the labor that they were using, and so their homes had to be more expensive, and now they're able to be a little bit more cost effective and play into a different world than it was a couple of years ago. Now, back then, the rates were 3%, and you had the house that was up here, costing more money, and the rate was lower. So at the end of the day, you got to kind of make sure that it makes sense for you. You can have tunnel vision and focus on the rate. You can have tunnel vision, focus on the price of the home or location or any of that stuff. The location isn't going to change. Price of the home, if you're lucky, is going to change in your favor. Interest rate, if you're doing a fixed rate, it's not going up from there, but you do have an opportunity for it to go down. So, I was looking at, don't test my math here, but I was looking at a mortgage around $400,000 at 6%. What do you think the difference in payment would be on 5% instead of 6%? Like if the interest rate was now 5%, I think would have an influx of buyers and all excited.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like,
on a $400,000 mortgage.
Yeah. What would the difference be?
Well, isn't it like $380 a month?
Not quite that much.
Oh, I was going to guess like 600, so I'm way off.
It's under 300.
Sure.
Really?
Yeah.
So point is, like, if you're waiting for the 5%, which that number feels a lot better than 6%, less always feels better, right? Get the house that you're wanting now, hypothetically.
It's like, don't say the triggering word here.
Oh, what's
don't
that?
Say, oh, I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going.
You know, marry the house and date the rate.
He said it.
Absolutely hate that saying. It's so stupid.
But
anyway.
no, to the point of, if now's the right time, would you spend an extra $200 a month, $300 a month? What's that number that's kind of your threshold or comfort zone? And what are you doing now? Are you in an apartment where you're throwing away all of that money, where you could be investing towards your house and getting equity and stuff? Are you just living in your parents' basement and saving all of it? Great. I mean, that's another option.
Yeah.
But playing through all those numbers and not just getting focused on one item of it is a huge part of it. And I think that's where it comes into the buyers having a little bit more opportunity as well. Is not everybody is as open-minded and thinking through that in a bigger picture. The rates are still high, I heard on the internet. So I'm not going to do anything yet. We're going to wait till later.
Yeah, definitely do your due diligence though, and go play on like the NerdWallet mortgage calculator. Play with the numbers, figure out what your monthly payment is going to be close to. That's the one that I've used, and it tends to be the most accurate I've found. But then, as Tyler was saying at the beginning of this, is talk to a lender, figure out what you are pre-approved for, what makes sense, what's easy for you, or financially smart for you, because that can change your mind quickly from when you're initially looking at houses online and you're like, hey, this is great, I'm looking at these big beautiful houses, and then you go and talk to them and it's like, hey, you know what?
Look at this big beautiful mortgage.
Yeah, it's a big monthly payment.
Yeah. Well, to say all that, I think a great first step is let's have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Again, hopefully through the last few weeks of our conversation, a story should be told of like, we are here to help educate, let's walk through the process, because we want you to be the best prepared. We don't want any surprises when it comes to, this home purchase. That does you no favors. It does us no favors. It does the sellers no favors. Is like, we want it to be smooth, because it's stressful enough, when you're making a big life decision. We want to be able to walk you through these situations. And here's another kicker is, let's have this conversation. And if you've never walked through a home before that's for sale, let's go walk through one.
Yeah.
We're going to learn a lot about it. As a first-time buyer, especially, yes, we want you to be pre-approved and everything, but it's a good educational crash course, which kind of leads us to our weekly shameless plug of our upcoming buyer seminar. Is in the link. You're going to see one for our next event. It's going to be an online event. Is we're going to walk through that home buying process. So again, is it easier? Yes. Is everything going to look the same to every single buyer? Absolutely not.
Hasn't yet.
No, not at all. I'll tell you an inside tip. It's not a trick, but we were talking about new construction. I remember I bought a new construction home that went through foreclosure, but nobody had ever lived in it. The biggest surprising thing that I found out was how expensive blinds are.
I knew that's where you're going.
Appliance packages are, decks are, finishing a basement, all of these things that don't come standard in a new construction home. So when we're looking at an existing home that might be priced a little bit higher, if you're wrapping up those blinds and that deck into your mortgage, not that you're financing that part, but you're basically getting all that stuff wrapped up, so you don't actually have to write the check for that stuff either.
Yeah,
so.
One really quick story that reminded me of is when I was showing those new constructions home last week. What I was telling them is like, hey, in the last 3 years at my house, I put in a new furnace, a new roof, new AC, and I was like, that's something that you're not going to have to worry about at this new construction home. And he looks over and he's like, yeah, but that deck is $40,000. And I was like, you know what? That was a good point.
Fair enough.
I didn't do that yet.
Yeah. Again, and we have to choose our words carefully of not worrying about it, because we had one that was like 3 years old and the heat exchanger went out.
Yeah,
and that was just like, ugh. So homes aren't perfect.
Yes.
New construction or existing.
Stuff will happen.
Yeah. Although that one in Otsego today looked pretty dang perfect. So
some pretty homes out there.
Anyway, yeah, again, extending the invitation just to talk with a trusted agent. We want to be your trusted agent here in Minnesota. You can visit us at NorthstarProRealty.com. Any one of our agents are ready, willing, and able to help you guide you through the process of your home purchase. So again, this week in real estate, it's North Star Pro Realty. We've got Tyler, we've got Tom, and we've got Tyler again.
We're out.
We need some outro music.